is Cooterz, and I'm going to take a quick look on a Glacial Cascade miner, the leveling process. Right now, I just got into Twilight Strand. I'll turn these off again. And I just got into Twilight Strand, and I have some stuff in my stash here. So what you want to do first, though, is actually when you go to Tarklich, he gives you an option. I always go Freezing Pulse. You can do something else, but I always take Freezing Pulse. And the other thing I do when it comes to leveling is I always start myself off with a few things. And what you want to pick up is Tabula Rasa is nice, just so you can link stuff. You don't have to use it because you do lose 3% movement speed. But I'll start off with a either like this Araku Tiki. You need level 0 amulet. And Elrion's amulet is very good because it gives you minus mana skills. You can pick them up from Elrion, or you can buy them anywhere between 1 Alk to 1 C-ish around. Same thing with the rings. I do only have 1 Elrion ring. I did not buy the second one, I guess. I thought I did, but I guess I haven't. You can buy another second Elrion ring. These are pretty cheap. I bought this one from my master, Elrion. But, you know, just keep us checking his stuff all the time. Also, Praxises are extremely good at level 20, 22. But yeah, the starting stuff, you know, Gold Rim is pretty normal. I'll definitely wear this. Wanderlust for the movement speed, and you can't be frozen. I use Life Sprigs as well for life, for just the beginning for Freezing Pulse. Once I get to, like, you know, level 10, I won't switch these over until I'm actually using my Glacial Cascade Mine, which won't be until Act 3. So you don't really need these Princess Sabers until way later. I'll just probably end up using Life Sprigs for a while until we end up getting the Glacial Cascade. And then also for Tabula Rasa, I do have a normal one, but you can buy this one for actually cheaper than normal Tabula. Right now, the Tabula in Bestiary League is about, I think it's about 20 Alks, which is about 20 C, or 20 to 30 C for some reason. But if you get this Socketed Skill 95% mana multi I bought for 10, 11 C, this is extremely, extremely good for mines because of the fact that Remote Mine as well as Minefield are like 140, 160 mana multi, something like that, or 120, 140. They're very, very high. So basically by combining this mana multi with Praxis Rings or Elrion's items, you lower the mana cost quite significantly to the point where you're not just wasting all your mana all the time. You can actually start reserving mana by using Heralds or by using Hatred. So it's a really good combo. Obviously, you'll switch things out later on, but it's really good, you know, for the level 0 to 25 range. Or actually even level like 40 or so. And also 2 Quicksilver Flasks. You can do the quest, obviously, if you're a new character, to get the flasks from, I believe it's Bestel. If you go over here to the Tidal Island or whatever it's called, you can end up getting a medicine chest and you get a reward for a Quicksilver Flask. You can also roll these if you have higher level ones. It might be worth rolling an Ample or rolling something of Adrenaline, something like that, just to get you extra movement speed, because you just really want to run through the levels as fast as possible. Also for belts, I like Worm's Molt because it gives you stats, strength and int, and usually you need strength. And sometimes Dex, because of the fact that stuff like Trap and Mind Damage or Hatred and stuff uses Dex, and you're going to be pretty hard-pressed for Dex in the early levels, most likely. Or you could also use Meganords for just the life and the strength. It's pretty good. Belt of the Deceiver is also nice at a higher level, level 20, just because you get the nearby enemy intimidation, so they take more damage, and you get Global Fizz and strength and life. So, I mean, it's a really a toss-up, whichever one you want to use. I would switch over to like a higher level belt later on, but also if you have gotten the 2-socket Abyssal unique, that's good too if you have good Abyssal gems. So those are things I would end up doing. Excuse me, I'm gonna use a Rocky Tiku because I'm probably not gonna be mana pressed right in the beginning, and this gives me guys extra life and stuff like that, so I can just run through quickly. But yeah, I'm not going to use my Tabula Rasa, like I said. If you can get like a 2 or 3 link on these Life Sprigs, depending on the item level, I would do that. And also, do pay attention to the item levels when you buy things like Wanderlust or Gold Rim if you didn't find them, because of the fact that you want to have an item level high enough so where they can have at least 4 sockets. I don't remember what it is. You can look it up. I think it's around 35 or 40 to get 4 sockets. So definitely make sure the item level is a high enough level just so you can get the max amount of sockets on Gold Rim and Wanderlust. You don't have to worry for Tabula, obviously, because it always has 6 sockets. And also, like Life Sprig is only 3 sockets, so you can pretty much, I think that's like level 10 for 3 sockets. It's something very, very low. I'm just gonna go over a very simple thing here when it comes to selling things and identifying things. Now, if you're a new character, you don't have a lot of Scrolls of Wisdoms, what you want to do is you really want to pay attention to what items you need for upgrades, as well as what items you want to end up selling. So normally what I do is I pick up blues and yellows only. And also when it comes to identifying things, I usually only identify rares because you will notice that you're going to run out of Scrolls of Wisdom very, very quickly. Now, the other thing too to take or to pay attention to rather is that when you identify an item, you end up getting, depending on the item's rarity, you get alteration shards normally. And if an item is unidentified, you actually get transmutation shards. So just to show you, if I were to identify this Driftwood Club and then sell it, I would get an alteration shard. So depending on what you need is what you should do. Like if you want to identify and you really, really need alteration shards at the time because you want to alterate or you want to use an item, an alteration, not shard, but an orb on an item to change its properties, then you probably want to identify items before you sell them. And if you want transmutation shards instead, you should just sell them unidentified. A good rule of thumb is in the early zones, like Act 1, selling things unidentified is normally better because of the fact that if you want to buy a gem, they're either going to talk, or a jewel, or gem, no, a gem. They're either going to take a Scroll of Wisdom or a Caustic Scroll of Wisdom, or the higher level ones, which I don't have yet at this point, are going to take 1 orb of transmutation. So taking that into account, if you want to buy extra, support things and you don't have orbs of transmutation, sell items unidentified. I'm going to show you guys just a little trick on, not a really trick, but just an idea on the ledge, since this is a zone with a decent amount of enemies. What you want to do when you're leveling, if you're trying to, especially if you have leveling gear, or you want to push through stuff quickly or content quickly, you want to have a good setup. Right now I'm using Freezing Pulse and Fire Trap, which I didn't explain before, but Fire Trap is very good too. And the reason why is because of the fact that you actually don't have to stop to hit enemies. And you can tell I'm going to skip a lot of packs because of the fact that it's just not really worth your time, especially if you're a higher level. I'm like the same level as the zone, so it's not really worth it. But the times I will stop and attack are pretty much to just clear like larger packs. And with the Fire Trap, all you really need to do is just lay it and run away. You're not really trying to necessarily kill every single guy in the pack. You're pretty much just trying to do damage and hopefully cause, a few of them to die on the way. And they will actually follow you for a while. So if you keep on throwing traps, you'll notice that if you look at the EXP bar normally, you can kind of see when people end up dying as you kill them, just because, they end up stepping on the flame trap. And usually like 1 or 2 of these are going to end up killing them, especially with the life sprigs. So that's kind of like the more efficient way of killing things. And also you want to stop and kill blue groups and yellow packs. And the reason why is because they're actually just worth a large amount of experience compared to the white mobs or the more common mobs that you see here. So like I said, you don't really kill much of the groups at all. And with traps, you can do this. Mines are a little bit different because, you can't throw them behind you. But it's just very, very efficient to kind of stop and set a mine and then keep on running forward. So you don't actually have a lot of downtime. You're always progressing forward or advancing forward. And you can see here, I'm just like going to gain a level, get a flash refill, and then pretty much just run to the end of the ledge zone. Now, this wasn't like super fast, but it was definitely more fast or faster if you were to stop at every single pack of mob and try to kill everything, because you don't really need to, since you have the leveling gear. And if you're more experienced, you can dodge a lot of the damage when it comes to the higher zones like Brutus, and you're 2 levels under leveled. You can do that if you have the right links and you know what you're doing. This is a guy that you actually do want to end up capturing in the ledge here, or the climb here. The reason why you want to capture this guy is because he gives you a really good bestiary recipe, which I'll show you once we get to the next zone. All right, guys, this is another little trick. If you want to capture multiple fawns, what you want to do is when you get to this waypoint here, or you don't have to really get to the waypoint, but I usually get it first. You can control click, hold down like left control, click on the climb, and you notice that I have an instance open for 6 more minutes or 7 minutes. You can create a new instance of this, and what it does is it resets that instance completely. You can do this with any loading zones with your, hideout and stuff like that too, going from your hideout to different zones on the waypoint. And why I do this is because if you want to capture this guy again, this fawn again, you can easily do so without having to wait for the zone to respawn, and it's easier coming from the prison. And like I said, the reason why you want to do this is because you want to end up capturing multiple versions of this guy for a recipe that I'll show you right now. So I'm in my menagerie right now, and I'm going to show you the reason why I wanted to capture the fawn. So if you search for Quicksilver, I do have Quicksilvers here, but this is good if you don't have any Quicksilver flasks or you don't have any adrenaline flasks. You see, I need the fawn and I need any goatman, and I already have this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on this and craft this thing, kill these guys here in this blood altar. And what this does is it creates these Quicksilver flasks for me that are... or that has the adrenaline property on it. And what that does is it gives you extra movement speed. The only issue with this is that it is a low item level because it's going to use the fawn's like level, which is, I think it's always going to be level 7 because of it. I can make another one, which I'm going to do here. Since these guys are very, very easy to kill and capture. The fawn is rather, and any goatman, you know. It's going to make it super easy. So you can see this is going to be item level 7. But it's just super nice because of the fact that you don't have to try and craft it yourself, which takes a long time. It can take, you know, I don't know, depending on what you really want as a prefix. It could take you, you know, maybe 10 alts. It could take you like 30 alts. And if you want like some really specific one, like a, I don't know, ample of adrenaline or... alchemists or something like that, it could take you like hundreds. I've spent, you know, 200 to 300 to get an alchemist of adrenaline on a Quicksilver. So this is a simple, easy way to get the adrenaline just to make you kind of level through zones faster. Hey guys, I just killed Brutus. So here's another thing too, where if you want to save on proto scrolls or hard press for them, and because this is like a new character, instead of using your proto scrolls and wasting them because of the fact that they're pretty rare-ish in the beginning, you can just simply hit escape and hit exit the character screen, also known as like logging out, and then pretty much just logging back in. And what that does is it's going to put you back into town, and it doesn't cost a portal scroll. So that's kind of like a little tip that some people don't actually know if they've been playing or just started playing the game. It's a very, very easy way of saving portal scrolls, and it's actually faster than portaling back because of the fact that you end up appearing down here. So if you're in a race, like logging out is very, very, very powerful. Just keep in mind though, if you haven't gotten a waypoint yet or something like that, you're gonna get put in the beginning of the beginning of the zone. The reason why for stuff like Brutus, the reason why it's very, very helpful is because when you kill Brutus, it actually gives you the waypoint to the prisoner's gate automatically, just in case, you know, if someone were to disconnect at that point after you kill them, you don't actually have to walk out and go to the prisoner's gate waypoint. You just get it automatically. So it's really helpful at that point in the game. So we just got to, not just got to Act 3, but we're level 23 in Act 3. And what I'm doing now is I'm leveling with the 2 Apraxis rings. I ended up putting on Deodri's Tenure. This gives you a ton of spell damage, but you lose a lot of cast speed. But the thing is, with Trap and Mind damage, it's not based off of cast speed, but instead based off of your Mind laying speed and your Trap throwing speed. So this doesn't actually hurt you too much unless you're going to use something like a totem, a spell totem. I will change these out later on. And then you can see I'm using everything here: Life Sprigs, Gold Rim, Wanderlust, the Tabula Rasa, the 95% mana multi, and Elrion's Amulet. My links are I'm using Lightning Trap level, Lightning Trap, Multi-Trap, added cold damage, added lightning damage, control destruction, and trap and mind damage. There's probably a better link here. I just haven't really decided to look to see what's better. It just works for now. It's doing quite a bit of damage. I'm doing like 277 per use. But it's really good because when you're running around, you know, you can pretty much just throw your traps back and, you know, let the enemies run over, as I missed all of them. But that's pretty much what I'm doing. And for single target, since Lightning Trap isn't very good, I'm using Fire Nova Mine with the Minefield. So what I do is I pretty much just switch out Lightning Trap for Fire Nova Mine and then Minefield for multi-trap, sorry. And it can use the same links. It's just better for single target. It does more damage. It's just not very good for leveling because you have to place it down and then detonate it, and it hits a small area. I'll just swap everything out for Glacial Cascade once we kill Gravicious, or whatever his name is. But yeah, I'm running Herald of Ice, and then I'm using a Vow Clarity. And the reason why is because even with all this setup, my mines, this costs 21 only. Lightning traps are very, very, very cheap. But mines are very expensive. If I switch this out, just to give you an idea, my mines cost 51. to set down, and when you're like putting down multiples, you can tell it's quite a bit. But since I have, you know, these Praxis, you know, get the mana regen and stuff like that in the mana multi, it shouldn't actually be a problem. So when I get to Glacial Cascade, as I'll show you, it's not going to be nearly as bad as it might be for someone who didn't spend the time to set this up, or for someone who can set this or couldn't set this up, like, you know, a new character or whatever. So we just hit level 28, which allows me to use a Glacial Cascade. So I use Glacial Cascade now, and I need to link up Minefield with this with Remote Mind. So I did that, and with Trap of Mind damage, Add to Cold, and Controlled Destruction, I'm actually doing about 570 damage per mind, which is really good. It does cost 43 mana. I'm actually going to go over here and go to Act 2. I think I should probably invest in Elemental Focus at this point, just to do extra damage. Let's see if I can buy that. That should help us a lot. So let me do this over the Added Cold. That'll bump us up to 656. Very, very good. I'm using 2 of the Princess Sabers because it's better than Lifespring at this point. And I'm going to be using Hatred if I can with Val Clarity, just so we can get more damage. And using the Praxis rings and everything like that, it's going to be not too bad when it comes to mana use. The other thing I'm doing is I'm running a Spell Totem with Detonate Mines, which I found on a different character. You can buy that for pretty cheap now. And faster casting. That way when I fight a boss, it's going to be a lot easier to handle that, basically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to I'm going to go over to, the Labyrinth, just so I can get my first points, Ascendancy points, rather. And I'll show you guys just kind of what the damage is like while doing this. And I am 5 levels under leveled this area, so this is a good kind of showing of the kind of damage that this build can do with, you know, not too much investment. And playing mines, you definitely have, it's definitely a different playstyle, I should say. You'll have to learn, you know, how to set the mines, and, you know, the distance that you might need to set the mines before detonating them, and when to press the detonate key and stuff like that. So actually, just to show you guys a kind of tip on how to play mines when it comes to detonating and placing mines, you'll have to kind of get used to your mine detonation time plus your mine setting speed to kind of figure out, you know, when you can actually hit the detonate button. But one thing you should not do, which you might think is very, very strong, is spam the detonate key. And the reason why is I'll show you here. If I put this mine down, so I'm going to run and I spam the detonation key, watch how many times my guy stutters here. My guy stuttered about 3 times spamming the key. Now, if I hit it once, you only end up, you know, doing that little stop or that stutter 1 time. So spamming the detonation key is actually very bad. I think it ends up, you end up stuttering for every mine that you have on the ground up to a certain amount of time. The other thing too is just kind of figure out, you know, playing around and, you know, trying to find like the rhythm of, you know, when the opportune time to hit the key is. Like, this is pretty much the fastest right there for now. But you'll notice later on you'll end up being able to detonate even faster and faster, depending on your mine laying speed and your detonation time, as you like level up. Now, hitting it too early, you'll notice that you'll have to spam it. Hitting it too late, well, you're just gonna end up losing some damage. You could also do this thing where you can hold down the key. However, if you start using the key too early, it doesn't really matter. But it's not gonna cause you to stutter extra times if I hold down the key, opposed to, you know, just spamming the key. All right, let's go ahead and fight this boss here. You don't get Val Clarity in these fights against Zaro, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to not buff him fully because I am worried about getting one-shotted. So I can show you how powerful the mines are here when it comes to, you know, killing these things. And I'm, like I said, I am 4 levels below. I could probably, if I was, you know, decent at dodging the damage, I could probably end up fully buffing him and not worrying about it. I'm also using 2 bubbling giant life flasks. That's a huge bonus. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you have the bubbling flasks, if you can afford to make them or get lucky enough to find them, definitely invest in them, or you know, invest your currency in trying to make it. So you can tell I can pretty much chew through a Zaro very quickly. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll just show you the trials. Okay, this is phase 2 of Azaro. I did pick up the portal shredder. I don't know if you can see it because I did speed this up. Oh, maybe I didn't pick it up. I thought I did. Let me see. Okay. Apparently it doesn't count as an item anymore. Thanks for the follow, man. I'm not gonna buff them like I said because I just. Actually, you know, the portals really aren't too bad. They aren't that bad of a buff. They just, you know, if you don't have a lot of damage, it's very, very good to remove these as buffs to Azaro. But if you do have a lot of damage like I do, it actually isn't that big of a deal just because of the fact that you're probably going to end up killing them before multiple enemies come out of these portals. So here we go. This should be onto 3. Phase 3. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, we are on the last trial and we're just going to go for damage obviously, so this should be pretty simple. Of course he kills my totem. Again. All's weird. I was doing so much damage to him and then he killed my totem, I just couldn't do anything. Alright, sometimes you have to deal with that where, you know, the totem thing is gonna die and you're gonna have to just manually detonate. That's why it's always worth learning how to detonate things. Now if I use this on Diodri's tenor, I'm gonna lose the level on it, most likely. Oh, it looks like we didn't. Sometimes what happens is you end up getting a lab buff that makes the required level go up by quite a bit. Usually don't want to do that, but the reason why I did is because of the fact that Diodri's tenor is not really used for anything. Saboteur is what we want to send to, and I'm just going to put our points first into Bomb Specialist and then over Demolitions. And I'll either pick between, I'll probably go Perfect Crime and end with either Born in Shadows or Explosive Expert. Explosive Expert is really good for damage, whereas Born in Shadows is a little bit better for the nearby enemies are blinded just for the survivability. And that's pretty much lab at low level, and with, you know, all the leveling items where Glacial Cascade starts to really shred things. Okay, so we just made it to the Black Core, Act 4. I have a little bit of HP, or not that much HP. I have only 900 HP, but just to show you guys the kind of damage that we have. I haven't changed anything from before, except for I'm using Flame Golem. I think, and then my tree, I have like Saboteur, Clever Construction, High Explosives. I'll have to respec this eventually, this area. Oh. But I'm still using the same setups as before. I haven't put increased duration yet on my totem yet, which I should have done, but I forgot to. It's a level 31 required item, or gem, so that's why I haven't done it yet. I forgot to put it on from Act 3. I bought it at Act 3, but I just forgot to put it in. So you can tell that I do take a lot of damage just because I don't have much HP and I don't have any defenses, but it's a pretty fast, you know, damaging build for this stuff. So basically what you want to do on this is if you have a lot of damage, you just want to normally stand near the hearts in order. So here I'm just going to like continue putting down the mines and then move to the next one here. And then, you know, just lay down mines as fast as I can and then move to the next one. And then that's it. Okay, we've made it to the Act 5 High Templar Various fight, just to show this fight. I haven't changed any items. I am a little low on HP in the sense that I don't have much. But I'll show you how this fight goes. There's a chance I die here if I do make a mistake, since I do die really, really easily. But let's see here. I do have increased duration skill gem in right now, so my totem will last longer. Here's a little trick that I like to do is when it goes to this spawn phase, since I don't really want... If you want to get Val Clarity, I don't think it actually gives you souls, I don't remember, but you can write out this grace period for the remainder or the duration of this this phase, I guess you'd say. I like to do it because I don't like to deal with this phase. It's just annoying, especially as my character, because my character is pretty squishy. So I like to kind of, I guess you can say, cheese that part and just skip it. There's a few other fights you can do stuff like that in, so now we get Innocence here on this fight, and this is always scary. This is a thing too where you could also port back if you want, if you're worried about dying on those parts rather, where it has like the huge AoE and stuff. You can always port back and then write out that damage too if you're not good at dodging it or whatever by using the grace period, since it's 30 seconds. So I'm going to do the same thing here, just kind of skip this phase because I don't like it. I don't like this phase, as like I said, I'm pretty squishy, and I don't really need anything from it. Like I don't need any charging of any skills or anything like that, so I just, choose to totally skip it. And you get flask refill by going back to town, so it's kind of nice to use this. I don't know, but I guess you can call it exploiting the grace period. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what other fights. There's a few other fights that you can do this on when it comes to certain phases, and you can end up just kind of skipping everything. So I'm level 41, 2 levels below this fight, so I'm not like crazy under leveled or anything. So that's pretty much the Avarius Innocence fight. Super easy if you use the portal trick, and also if you have just high damage, kind of like the Glacial Cascade Miner. So that's it, and then I think I'll show the Kedavra fight. Alright, we just made it to the Kedavra fight. I've actually started. I haven't done any damage. I just zoned in, but I did change some things. I changed my belt out for Belt of the Deceiver because I needed a bit more strength. It did give me some global damage, so I'm doing about 2,400 damage here. Obviously, when I go into the fight, I'll do more. I'll do about 3,000 probably, and I'll get the intimidation. I just switched it out because I needed the strength, because I wanted to put cast when damage taken. Actually, I just noticed I don't actually have enough strength. I did want to use cast when damage taken Immortal Call, but I'm off by 1 strength, so I guess that didn't work out, but it's fine. We're gonna do this. We'll do this fight regardless without that. Ow. So you're gonna have to really dodge a lot of these moves. I just wasted that on accident. You're gonna have to dodge a lot of these moves when you're playing this build if you don't get a lot of HP in the beginning, which I didn't. I only have 1,000 HP and like no defenses, so this is gonna be a little tough. But as long as you do enough damage on this fight, you'll notice that you can phase Kedavra in and out of phases. It's really redundant, a little redundant, but you know what I mean. And then you may have to go back to town quite often just to get flask refill, which I do sometimes. But all you have to do is, like I said, kind of just do as much damage as possible and keep her going in and out of these phases. And then you can pretty much mitigate damage that way by just keeping her in this invulnerable zone, which is a little silly, but that's just how it works. So I'm going to go back just to get some flask refill, and then... Oh, well, she bugged out there. But sitting on the edges are the best things you can do by putting a totem down and sitting on the edges, because it's the easiest way to kind of like do damage while basically avoiding most of the other damage. And that's pretty much the Kedavra fight. When you play this build, you just kind of have to know like where to stand and stuff like that, and make sure you have your totem up and just phase her in and out of her phases as fast as possible, and that's going to mitigate pretty much all of the damage, if not, or rather some, if not all of the damage. So it's a pretty easy fight. I think that's a good coverage for this build for the first 5 acts. So I'll probably do a part 2. This is going to be part 1 of the Glacial Cascade Mine leveling guide, acts 1 through 5. Yeah, I think that's it. Check out the build guide down below in the description. I'll try to put a thing up there so you guys can follow it. And like I said, I'll try to make another video outlining kind of the build guide stuff for acts 6 through 10. It should change a little bit. I'll have to somehow get some more survivability. Also, I'm going to be dying a lot, but it's kind of like the give and take of this build is that you're going to have really low survivability for a lot of damage. So it's just a high risk, high reward type of build. If you're going to play this in hardcore, then I would definitely suggest maybe dropping Tabula Rasa and just running a 4-link. You're going to lose a ton of damage, but you're going to be able to pick up some life on your chest piece or, you know, on your helmet and stuff like that. I will have to switch out my gold rim, my tabula, and my wanderlust and like the Diodri's tenor for like higher HP items, which is fine though, because I really only care about the tabula rasa, so I won't move that out until a very high level, until I get a 6 link, which is pretty rare. But yeah, getting the gold rim out, even though it gives you resistances, moving that out, moving the wanderlust out, and moving the Diodri's tenor out will definitely give you a ton of HP, as none of them actually give you any HP. So that's like a big thing. And then once you can kind of start playing around with maybe getting a different neck and running 2 Praxis, if you can kind of get that nice balance between using Vow Clarity, you know, with really high damage so you don't have to set as many mines, then you can kind of save a lot of mana and then items that way, in the sense that you might only have to run 1 Praxis eventually and you can get more HP on another ring. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys did like the build guide. Let me know if you have any suggestions or, you know, any questions about the build, and I'll follow up with a part 2. Thanks for checking out the video. Remember to hit the bell notification up there so you know when I put out a new video, and then obviously like, comment, subscribe, and do remember to do big, do good, and do you. And I'll see you guys in part 2.